The hour for convening having arrived, all members of this House will please report to the floor and take your seats. All members, please report to the floor and take your seats. The clerk will ring the bell. All members, please report to the floor of the House. We are going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. Legislative Day 20. Halfway there. We're going to begin our day with scripture reading and prayer here in a moment, but I feel compelled to ask all of us today when we get to the prayer to remember the people of Ukraine. It's a very scary time, and I know they're kind of caught in the right in the target, so let's remember them in our prayer. We will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the lady from the 165th House District, Representative Edna Jackson. Representative Jackson.
Thank you. Good morning. To our speaker, fellow representatives from across the great state of Georgia, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce my pastor, Reverend J. Hayco, Sr. He was born and reared in Saginaw, Michigan, and is the third of three children to William and Nancy Hayco. Throughout his youth, Reverend Hayco was actively involved in his church, and he served in the choir, chief young usher, president of the Young People's Department, and president of the Explorers Post, as well as a member of the Junior Steward Board, which was the beginning of his lay ministry. After graduating from Bridgeport High School, he received an academic scholarship to attend Hampton Institute, now University, in Hampton, Virginia. While at Hampton, he became a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a member of the business club, voted Mr. Senior for his class, and a graduate with a BS degree in marketing. In 1985, he received his Master's of Divinity from Virginia Union University, School of Theology, and in 2011, he received his Master's of Arts in Christian Education with honors from the Turner Theological Seminary. He continued his education in 2019, graduating with a Doctor of Education in the area of curriculum and instructions. Reverend Hayco has worked for a number of corporations, including Procter & Gamble, Radio Shack, Phillips, Business College, University of Virginia Hospital, Crawford Long Hospital. Oh my goodness. He has worked in technology, Gateway Computer, and the DeKalb County school system. He's also served as a consultant to the National Conference of Black Mayors, Fulton County Juvenile Justice System, and DeKalb County Peach Program. In 1984, Pastor Hayco accepted a call to ministry at Bethel AME Church in Hampton, Virginia, and in 1985 was appointed pastor of Marshall Chapel AME Church in Lynchburg, Virginia. In 1991, he moved to the state of Georgia to pursue a greater opportunity in ministry. Pastor Hayco is married to Brenda Young Hayco. They have one son, and he is a Hayco Sr. He currently serves as pastor of the historic St. Philip AME Church in Savannah, Georgia, affectionately known as St. Philip AME Church on the Boulevard. He is a community activist in Savannah and throughout the county. Feed the Hungry, NAACP, a number of spiritual ministerial organizations. In 2006 and 12, Pastor Hayco was appointed the Director of Christian Education for the 6th Episcopal District, which comprised the entire state of Georgia, President of Turner Theological Seminary Alumni Association, 6th District Christian Education Director, member of the Board of Trustees and Board Examiners of the Old Georgia Annual Conference for the 6th District, Chaplain of the Fellowship of Church Education, Chaplain of the Southeast Region of the Hampton University Alumni Association. It is his desire to teach on the graduate level in the area of Christian education to assist young men and women to pursue their call in Christian ministry. My colleagues, I present to you the chaplain for the day, my pastor, Pastor Hayco.
Good morning. To the Speaker of the House of Representatives, David Ralston, to this Georgia House of Representatives, to my representative, Sister Edna Jackson, to all of you who are here, visitors, staff, workers, friends, and foes alike, good morning. I bring you greetings from the St. Philip African Methodist Episcopal Church in Savannah, Georgia, where the Honorable Mayor Van Johnson II serves as mayor. St. Philip is the oldest African Methodist Episcopal Church in the state of Georgia, celebrating 157 years in ministry this June, where the greatest First Lady, Sister Brenda Young Hayco, serves with honor and distinction with me. I am the Reverend Dr. J.S. Hayco Sr. I am the pastor of St. Philip Church. And I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come and to share with you during this Black History Month. But we celebrate Black History every month. I want to speak this morning on the subject, a charge to keep. In 1762, Charles Wesley wrote a hymn entitled "A Charge to Keep." He based it on the scripture in Leviticus 8:35 when Moses was passing the mantle on to Aaron. He wanted Aaron to continue leading the children of Israel. He told Aaron that he must keep the charge of the Lord, lest he die. It was a reminder that leadership is a life and death commitment to God. This story of Moses and Aaron reminds us that we make decisions that impact the lives of others, and we will have to give an account of our decision making. We must also lead and train others how to be leaders. We must remind each other that there is also a higher power, a power that is greater than you and a power that is greater than me. Charles Wesley penned these words: "A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, to fit it for the sky." He goes on to say, "To serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my master's will." As we do the work of government, as we fulfill our call, let us remember what Abraham Lincoln said in his Gettysburg Address. We are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So let us do what is pleasing in the sight of our God. Let us do what is right for righteousness' sake. Let us march on until victory is won. Because one day we will all stand at the judgment seat, and we will have to give an account of our lives. And we want to hear those words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will set you over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." You know, there is life after life. And my prayer is that your life will make a difference. Your life needs to make a difference in the lives of others. This is your charge to keep. May we stand. Let us pray. In the words of James Weldon Johnson, God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. God, we thank you for the opportunity to give service to others. We thank you for allowing us to see another day. We thank you because you have been good to us. Now, Lord, help us. Help us to do what it is that is pleasing in your sight. Help us to love our neighbors as we also love ourselves. Help us to make decisions that will benefit all of your people. Help us to fight the good fight of faith. Help us so that when that day comes, when it's your time to call and it's our time to answer, help us to do what it is that needs to be done so that we might hear those words, well done. Go with us now, that even as we might leave this place, and grant that we might not ever leave your presence. It is in the name of the one in whom we serve that we pray. And let every heart in this place say amen. Amen. May we also remember those that are struggling with the possibility of another world war. God bless you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Open the door. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Members may greet the chaplain in the South Anteroom. Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, on the 59th, moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1407 by Representative Green and the 151st, a bill to be titled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Dawson.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1408 by Representative Green and the 151st, a bill to be titled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Shelby.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1409 by Representative Werkheiser and the 157th, a bill to be titled an act to amend Chapter 9 and Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating workers' compensation.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 1410 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Beverly, the 143rd, Mitchell, the 88th, Alexander, the 66th, and Bernal, the 77th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elections and primaries generally.
Special Committee on Election Integrity.
House Bill 1411 by Representative Rose, the 120th, and Williams, the 145th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to revise, modernize, and consolidate the provisions of local law relating to the State Court of Putnam County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1412 by Representative Rhodes, the 120th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to provide for that certain officials of Greene County who have served at least 15 years.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1413 by Representative Rhodes, the 120th, and Saints, of the 180th. A bill be titled an act to amend Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to local government.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 1414 by Representative Carpenter, the 4th, Williamson, the 115th, Blackman of the 146th, Jaspers, the 11th, Knight of the 130th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1415 by Representative Hutchinson of the 107th, Hughley of the 136th, Thomas of the 39th, Paris of the 142nd, Schofield of the 60th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 19 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding adoption.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1416 by Representative Schofield of the 60th, Scott of the 76th, Clark of the 108th, Davis to the 87th, and Hutchinson to the 107th. Bill be titled Act to amend Part 3 of Article 16 of Chapter 2 and Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to student health.
Education.
House Bill 1419 by Representative Earhart of the 36th, Knight of the 130th, Setzler of the 35th, and Carson of the 46th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 14 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions.
Education.
House Bill 1420 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Williams of the 145th, Holcomb of the 81st, and Grau of the 110th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 6A, Chapter 3, Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to DNA sampling.
Judiciary, non-civil.
House Bill 1421 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Watson of the 172nd, Nixon of the 69th, Smith of the 133rd, Fry of the 118th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Part 2 of Article 3 of Chapter 8, Title 12 the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to hazardous site response.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 1422 by Representative Gilligan of the 24th, Byrd of the 20th, and Singleton of the 71st. Bill be titled an Act to amend Code Section 48740.26 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Entertainment Industry Investment Act.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1423 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Hughley of the 136th, Bernal of the 77th, Basemore of the 63rd, and Holcomb of the 81st. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to children and youth services.
Juvenile Justice.
House Bill 1424 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, Wilkerson of the 38th, Mitchell of the 88th, Gunner of the 8th, Hatchett of the 150th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia Lottery for Education Act.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 1425 by Representative Werkhuizen of the 157th, Newton of the 123rd, Gravely the 67th, Holcomb of the 81st. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to access to medical cannabis. $14.25.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1426 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Werkhuizen of the 157th, Gunther 88th. A bill be titled an Act to amend Title 17 the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to criminal procedure.
Judiciary, non-civil.
House Bill 1427 by Representative Moore of the 90th, Beverly the 143rd, Bennett of the 94th, Tankersley the 160th, and Smith of the 70th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation and construction of hospitals.
Human Relations and Aging.
House Bill 1428 by Representative Registration of the 104th. Bill be titled an Act to amend the Official Code of Georgia annotated so as to revise, modernize, and correct errors.
Code revision.
House Resolution 820 by Representative England of the 116th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. James J. Boss and dedicating an intersection in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 821 by Representative England of the 116th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Milner and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 822 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, Rose, the 120th, Deloach, the 167th, and Williams, the 168th, a resolution stating Georgia's opposition to the shark fin trade.
Game, Fish, and Parks.
House Resolution 823 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Beverly, the 143rd, and Mitchell, the 88th, and others. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on Pharmacy Deserts.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 395 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, a bill being titled an Act to amend Code Section 1562 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating the number of judges in superior courts.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 449 by Senator Dixon of the 45th, Tippins the 37th, Payne of the 54th, Kennedy the 18th, Hatchett the 50th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Part 5, Article 16, Chapter 2, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to review or removal of students in
Education.
Senate Bill 469 by Senator Harper the 7th, Ginn of the 47th, Davenport of the 44th, Jackson of the 41st, Brass of the 28th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7, Title 52 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions of registration, operation, and sale.
Game, Fish, and Parks.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1375 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Wilson of the 80th, Oliver of the 82nd, Kendrick of the 93rd, Dreyer of the 59th, and others. A bill relating to workers' compensation. House Bill 1376 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Cooper of the 43rd, Carpenter of the 4th, Rich of the 97th, Gullett of the 19th. A bill relating to food service establishments. House Bill 1377 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Rhodes of the 120th, Smith of the 18th, Gunter of the 8th. A bill relating to general provisions relative to income taxes. House Bill 1378 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Powell of the 32nd, Ballinger of the 23rd, Ridley of the 6th, Harbin of the 2nd, and others. A bill relating to carrying and possession of firearms. House Bill 1379 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, Ridley of the 6th, Burchett of the 176th, Hogan of the 179th, Rhodes of the 120th. A bill relating to law enforcement officers and agencies. House Bill 1380 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, House of the 170th, Smith of the 133rd, Burchett of the 176th, England of the 116th. A bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 1381 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, England of the 116th, Corbett of the 174th, Watson of the 172nd, Jaspers of the 11th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions applicable to counties, municipal corporations, and other governmental entities. House Bill 1382 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, England of the 116th, Corbett of the 174th, Watson of the 172nd, Jaspers of the 11th, and others. A bill relating to required training on development and redevelopment programs. House Bill 1383 by Representative Walensky of the 79th, Astration of the 104th, Oliver of the 82nd, Rich of the 97th, Holcomb of the 81st, and others. A bill relating to the Fair Employment Practices Act of 1978. House Bill 1384 by Representative Jenkins of the 132nd, Camp of the 131st, Green of the 151st, Jaspers of the 11th, Knight of the 130th. A bill relating to amendment and revision of codes. House Bill 1385 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Taylor of the 173rd, Rich of the 97th, Gaines of the 117th, Clemson of the 12th, and others. A bill relating to annexation of territory. House Bill 1386 by Representative Carson of the 46th, Smith of the 133rd, Corbett of the 174th, Seabaugh of the 34th, and Nulowitz of the 42nd. A bill relating to sales and use taxes. House Bill 1387 by Representative Collins of the 68th, Green of the 151st, Powell of the 32nd, Corbett of the 174th, Bonner of the 72nd. A bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 1388 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, LaHood of the 175th, Watson of the 172nd, Gullett of the 19th. A bill relating to requirements for an official legal organ. House Bill 1389 by Representative Nolowitz of the 42nd, Wynn of the 89th, Bodie of the 62nd, Allen of the 40th, Oliver of the 82nd, and others. A bill relating to sex discrimination in employment. House Bill 1390 by Representative Nolowitz of the 42nd, Smith of the 18th, Bodie of the 62nd, Evans of the 57th, Tankersley of the 160th, and others. A bill relating to sex discrimination in employment. House Bill 1391 by Representative Gunter of the 8th, Leverett of the 33rd, Burchett of the 176th, Smith of the 18th, Bodie of the 62nd, and others. A bill relating to public defenders. House Bill 1392 by Representative Gunter of the 8th, Smith of the 18th, Montana of the 17th, Fleming of the 121st, Jones of the 47th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions regarding the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. House Bill 1393 by Representative Bonner of the 72nd, Washburn of the 41st, Powell of the 32nd, Crow of the 110th, Wiedauer of the 119th. A bill relating to judicial emergency. House Bill 1394 by Representative Byrd of the 20th, Gilligan of the 24th, Carpenter of the 4th, Gamble of the 15th, Scoggins of the 14th, and others. A bill relating to control of hazardous conditions, preventable disease, and metabolic disorders. House Bill 1395 by Representative McLaurin of the 51st, Gullett of the 19th, Montana of the 17th, Gravely of the 67th. A bill relating to application for a first certificate of title for motor vehicles. House Bill 1396 by Representative Yerta of the 152nd, Gullett of the 19th, Gunter of the 8th, Barton of the 5th, Collins of the 68th, and others. A bill relating to municipal courts. House Bill 1401 by Representative Barr of the 103rd, Gamble of the 15th, Smith of the 18th, Seabaugh of the 34th, Wade of the 9th, and others. A bill relating to primaries and elections. House Bill 1402 by Representative Barr of the 103rd, Dunhoo of the 30th, Mathis of the 144th, Smith of the 18th, Wade of the 9th, and others. A bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 1403 by Representative Crowe of the 110th, Hatchett of the 150th, Newton of the 123rd, Ridley of the 6th, Mathis of the 144th. A bill relating to exemptions from Certificate of Need requirements. House Bill 1404 by Representative Pruitt of the 149th, Hatchett of the 150th, Cooper of the 43rd, Watson of the 172nd, Jaspers of the 11th, and others. A bill relating to medical assistance. House Bill 1405 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Washburn of the 141st, Crowe of the 110th, Dreyer of the 59th, Paris of the 142nd, and others. A bill relating to local governments. House Bill 1406 by Representative Martin of the 49th and Jones of the 47th. A bill relating to hearings on proposed zoning decisions. House Bill 1417 by Representative Bodie of the 62nd, Bazemore of the 63rd, Jackson of the 64th, Schofield of the 60th. A bill to provide a homestead exemption from City of College Park ad valorem taxes. House Bill 1418 by Representative Smyre of the 135th, Hughley of the 136th, Buckner of the 137th, Smith of the 133rd, a bill to amend an act providing a new charter for the county-wide government of Columbus, Georgia. House Resolution 1818 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, Dempsey of the 13th, Barton of the 5th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Cameron of the 1st, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Mr. Bobby Lee Cook and dedicating an intersection in his memory. House Resolution 819 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, resolution honoring the life and memory of Mr. Fred Pulliam, dedicating a bridge in his memory. Senate Bill 331 by Senator Alberts of the 56th, Mullis of the 53rd, Duggan of the 30th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Miller of the 49th, and others, a bill relating to minimum wage law. Senate Bill 346 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, Hatchett of the 50th, Anderson of the 24th, Hickman of the 4th, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, and others, a bill relating to general authority, duties, and procedure of the Department of Administrative Services. Senate Bill 360 by Senator McNeil of the 3rd, Kennedy of the 18th, Beach of the 21st, Miller of the 49th, Hickman of the 4th, and others, a bill relating to exploitation and intimidation of disabled adults, elder persons, and residents, and obstruction of investigation. Senate Bill 404 by Senator Alberts of the 56th, Robertson of the 29th, Mullis of the 53rd, Gooch of the 51st, Beach of the 21st, and others, a bill relating to emergency medical services personnel. And Senate Bill 522 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a bill to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Harris County, through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Newton of the 123rd District, Chairman on the Committee and Special Committee on Access to Quality Health Care, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Access to Quality Health Care is under consideration of the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 1351 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Newton of the 123rd District, Chairman. Representative Dickey, the 140th District, Chairman on the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under consideration the following bills of the Senate. It instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendations. Senate Bill 396 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Dickey, the 140th District, Chairman. Representative Carpenter, the 4th District, Chairman on the Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment had under consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 508 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carpenter, the 4th District, Chairman. Representative Dubnik of the 29th District, Chairman on the Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Education has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1303 do pass. House Bill 1292 do pass. House Bill 1084 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1178 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Dubnik of the 29th District, Chairman. Representative Trey Rose, the 120th District Chairman on Committee on Game Fish and Parks, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Game Fish and Parks has set under consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 1349 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Trey Rose of the 120th District, Chairman. Representative Darlene Taylor, the 173rd District Chairman on Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Governmental Affairs has under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1085 do pass. House Bill 1301 do pass by committee substitute. House Resolution 732 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Darlene Taylor, 173rd District, Chairman. Representative Sharon Cooper, the 43rd District Chairman on Committee on Health and Human Services, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 1304 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1348 do pass. House Bill 1355 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Sharon Cooper, the 43rd District, Chairman. Representative Jan Tankers of the 160th District Chairman on Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under consideration the following bills of the House and Senate and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1374 do pass. House Bill 1397 do pass. Senate Bill 454 do pass. Senate Bill 482 do pass. Senate Bill 503 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Tankers Lee, the 160th District, Chairman. Representative Abstration of the 104th District, Chairman on Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 916 do pass by substitute. House Bill 960 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1352 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1377 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Abstration of the 104th District, Chairman. Representative James Burchett of the 176th District Chairman on Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 895 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative James Burchett of the 176th District, Chairman. Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman of the Committee on Motor Vehicles, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Motor Vehicles has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 203 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1009 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1379 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman. Representative Jay Collins of the 68th District, Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under consideration the following bills of the House and Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1216 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 358 do pass. House Bill 1145 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 439 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jay Collins, the 68th District, Chairman. Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman on Committee on Ways and Means, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means has had under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House, instructed me to report same back to the House following recommendations. House Bill 1302 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1058 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 997 do pass. House Resolution 686 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
We are now going on to the local calendar. Going on to the local calendar, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. I'm sorry. Representative Paris, did you wish to be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
What purpose do you rise?
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bills 454 and 503 be removed from the calendar to be voted on separately. Please, sir.
That's 503 and 454. Okay. The representative has moved that Senate Bill 454 and Senate Bill 503 be removed from the calendar and voted on separately. Is there any objection? There is an objection. All those in favor of removing Senate Bills 454 and 503 from the calendar and voting on them separately will vote aye. Those opposed to the lady's motion will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Washburn rise?
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that the
Is
majority...
this a parliamentary inquiry?
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, it is a parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that the majority of the Bibb County House delegation prefers that this be left on the local calendar?
If the gentleman so states, I'm sure he knows about which he speaks. What purpose does the minority leader rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that the majority of the Bibb County School Board voted against this map, and we offered a substitute that was not accepted by the majority of the delegation here?
If the gentleman so states, I'm sure he believes that to be true. What purpose does Chairman Dickey rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true this is the only bill that's been presented for the Bibb County School Board and Commissioners, and at this late date from the Senate, and there's no other bill that's been prepared by this chamber to vote on?
I'm sure the gentleman believes that to be true. All right. Have all members voted on the motion? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the motion of Representative Paris to remove these two bills from the local calendar and vote separately, the ayes are 67, the nays are 92, and the motion has failed. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 1374 by Representative Stevens, the 164th City of Bloomingdale. House Bill 1397 by Representative Williams, the 168th Liberty County. Senate Bill 454 by Senator Kennedy, the 18th Bibb County. Senate Bill 482 by Senator Anna DeVarte of the 31st Paulding County. Senate Bill 503 by Senator Kennedy, the 18th Macon Bibb County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. The ayes are 100, the nays are 62. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. For what purpose does Chairman Tankersley rise?
I rise to make a motion, Mr.
State your
Speaker.
motion.
I move we immediately transmit today's local calendar to the Senate.
Chairman Tankersley has moved that the local calendar passed by this House be immediately transmitted to the Senate. Is there objection? There is objection. All those in favor of immediate transmittal will vote aye. Those opposed to immediate transmittal will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the lady's motion for immediate transmittal. The ayes are 98, the nays are 62, and the bills on the local calendar are on their way to the Senate immediately. We're going on now to morning orders. We're going on to morning orders. We've got a number of measures on the rules calendar today, so I'm going to limit the morning orders strictly to 1 minute each. 1 minute. So if you have a morning order, you might want to make your way to the front. The messenger starts the clock when we recognize you. Chair recognizes Representative Washburn for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I rise today to honor the life and memory of Dr. Tandy Walter Treadwell, who passed away on January 22, 2022. He is survived by his wife, Betty Treadwell, a brother, a sister, children, and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In 2000, Dr. Treadwell retired as Chief of Family Medicine, Professor and Chair Emeritus at Mercer University School of Medicine. The doctor recognized that God had given him great gifts, and he used those gifts to honor God, and he has done a lot to improve the health care that we are trying to deliver to rural Georgia. Please bow your head in a moment of silence to honor Dr. Treadwell. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Setzler for a morning order.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I just would I wanted to stand today and stay far, far, far from politics and just ask folks to rise and have a moment of silence for the human cost that's being exacted in the Ukraine. It's a very complex circumstance. I just hope we can have peace, hope we can have justice, and I hope nations that should be brothers, we can resolve this. I hope that America can be a light for goodness and healing, and I just want a moment of silence of prayer for those in Russia and Ukraine. Let's pray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Belton for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise today to pray for the brave men and women of the United States military in Poland today who stand in the crux between war and peace. It is an incontrovertible fact that freedom begins and ends along the thin red line the American soldiers fought and died. You and I don't really appreciate it, but you and I live in a remarkable era of peace and prosperity. Throughout all of history, there have only been two other times when most of the world has been at peace. For 200 years, to the Pax Romana between Augustus Caesar and Marcus Aurelius, for another 100 years when Queen Victoria reigned in the Pax Britannica, and for the last 80 years, starting with the Allied victory in World War II, when we have enjoyed a Pax Americana, a blessed time of peace and prosperity that both Democrat and Republican presidents worked hard to protect. But make no mistake, it's not the politician who wins our freedom. It's the American soldier, sailor, airman, and Marines, the greatest peacemaker on the planet.
Chair recognizes Representative Neal for a morning order. Representative Yasmin Neal, not here, okay. Chair recognizes Representative Moore for a morning order. Beth Moore, the one that's having a birthday soon.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In honor of Black History Month, I wanted to share with you all a special moment in Black history that we are celebrating in my community of Peachtree Corners. I would like to introduce you to Joseph Citizen Joe Sawyer, who last year was elected as the first Black member of the Peachtree Corners City Council and first person of color to serve on the council. Joe was born in 1965 and served his country in the Army and was honorably discharged as a disabled veteran. He has been married to Kim Sawyer for 30 years, is father to Lauren and Lacey, and is a grandfather to 6 grandchildren. He co-founded the nonprofit organization Bridges Peachtree Corners in 2014 to celebrate the diversity and to build coalitions for public service within the city of Peachtree Corners. If everybody who knows Joe loves him. He is just an amazing public servant, having served the local fire and police departments, elementary schools. He's been a small business owner for 20 years, is a 2-time cancer survivor, and in 2021 was elected to serve our city. And I'm just so proud of Joe and just want to congratulate him and thank him for his service. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Hutchinson for a morning order.
Good morning, colleagues. Today, in my moment in Black history, I would like to introduce you to Furman Christoph. Furman Christoph was the secretary for the Citizens Committee that supported Homer Plessy in the Plessy versus Ferguson case in 1896, which ultimately brought in the separate but equal doctrine. Homer Plessy was my great-great-grandfather. He was a teacher at the Catholic Institute for Indigent Orphans, and he later became principal. I have to honor my great-great-grandfather because I feel like I have his energy up here. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes Representative Roberts for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Laughter is good for the soul. It is priceless medicine that has so much power to heal and compensate. It brings people together, releases tension in the environment, and relaxes your nerves, making it both beneficial for emotional and physical well-being. My District 52 is home to one of the greatest sources of laughter, the Punchline Comedy Club. Last night, I had the honor and pleasure of celebrating its 40th anniversary in business by attending Jeff Foxworthy's sold-out show. I have not laughed so hard in a really long time, and it truly was medicine for my soul. I want to publicly congratulate the owners, Jamie Bindle, Chris DePetta, and Jim Bindle. Punchline has presented top comedians in the industry, including Jeff Foxworthy, who was on the stage at Punchline for the first time 37 years ago, so they essentially have grown up together. Eddie Murphy, Steve Harvey, Amy Schumer. So thank you, Punchline. You've kept Georgians from across the state laughing over the decades, presenting more than 1,000 comedians, 7,500 shows. We're grateful for your contribution to keeping our souls, minds, and bodies healthy. And if y'all haven't been there, you really need to go see a show. It'll restore your soul.
Representative Roberts, are you suggesting that that's better entertainment than the General Assembly of Georgia?
Yes,
Just making sure. I think I know what the next morning order is about. Chair recognizes Representative Kendrick for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. This is my annual morning rant. For those of you that have a birthday outside of the legislative session, you know that we don't get to hear the speaker's name or get a round of applause. My birthday is August the 28th, the same day as the late Representative John Meadows, and the same day Dr. King had his I Have a Dream speech. So right now, if your birthday falls outside of the legislative session, if you stand up and wave so that our colleagues can give us our due, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Kendrick always remembers the forgotten. All right, we're going on now to the rules calendar. Going on to the rules calendar, the clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1307.
House Bill 1307 by Representative Houston, and the 170th to be entitled an act to amend Title 25 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to fire protection and safety so as to revise the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The chair recognizes Chairman Houston to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want everybody to know that this is a very nonpartisan bill, and not only is it a nonpartisan bill, it is a common sense bill. And I don't see how anybody can find anything wrong with it, to tell you the truth. But this bill simply codifies existing PSC training for excavators to call 911 should they accidentally strike a gas line or a hazardous material line. The federal auditors are requiring that we put this into law. We passed this bill last year. It was part of another bill that went to the Senate, and the bill that it was attached to did not pass. So we're asking that this be a standalone bill so we can receive more audit credit points. We were real lucky last year. This House passed a bill, and we put $150,000 into hiring more people, call before you dig, and we thought our points would go up so much that we would return $300,000, but we returned $500,000 to the state, and hopefully this will bring us more money. I'll be glad to ask any questions.
You yield for questions?
Yes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Nix to your right for a question.
Does the lady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that if I'm out there digging and I hit that gas line, I'm going to call on a lot higher power than the PSC?
Yes, sir. I'm sure they will too. And the PSC already trains excavators to do this, but we're just going by what the feds want us to do and put it in law. Thank you. That's a great point. If there's no further questions.
Yield?
Yes, I'll yield. One more question.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon to your left for a question.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you yield?
Yes.
So the bill that it was attached to last year, was it germane? What was that bill about, and why didn't it pass?
It had something to do with excavators. I don't know what the bill was. They just told me it was in another bill that did not move in the Senate, that we passed it in the House and it didn't move in the Senate. It was something to do with excavators, but I'm not sure what it said.
No further questions.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills, passage of House Bill 1307. The ayes are 159, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1233.
House Bill 1233 by Representative Rose, the 120th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2, Title 12, Title 27, and Article 1 of Chapter 7, and Title 52 of the Official Code of Georgia and Territory relating to general provisions of the Department of Natural Resources, Game and Fish, and general provisions of the registration, operation, sales of watercraft. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Game, Fish, and Parks. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
This is not another raccoon bill, is it? Or a dead carcass bill? Okay. Chair recognizes Chairman Rhodes to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, sir, this has nothing to do that's going to get Al Williams up here, I promise. Ladies and gentlemen, the House Bill 1233 is our annual DNR update. It does just a few simple things. This updates the rules and regs from our DNR board from the past year. And doves were accidentally left out of the current language, so we're using the term migratory game bird to include all of our game birds. And we consolidated all of our black bass into one species, into one category. And also accidentally, the 3-shell limit was left out of our migratory game bird section. And we're just, it's always been federal code, and we're going back to just mirror federal code. Mr. Speaker, that's the bill. I'll answer any questions.
Do you yield for a question?
Yes, sir, I'll take one.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I should not to you, but I will.
Does this protect my ducks from hunters like you?
If you can get one with 3 shells, it doesn't.
Well, you're still not welcome on my farm to shoot my ducks.
Well, we'll see. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1233. The ayes are 155. The nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1217.
House Bill 1217 by Representative Irwin of the 28th and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 2 entitled 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated the Quality Basic Education Act so as to provide for the inclusion of methods for the promotion of the safe and appropriate use of technology. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Education. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Irwin to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I bring before you today the Student Technology Protection Act. This bill it needs to be in place to secure the state-owned servers and devices that have been delivered to the kids and that the students use today in the environment we're in, which is the virtual learning environment that is going on. You can only imagine how much more learning we are doing on the internet and with devices that we're handing children that they're taking home. We must secure those with filters and firewalls. These are in line with a bill and updated a bill that we passed in this chamber in 2006, which was House Bill 1055. It's also in line with the SIPA law, which was passed by Congress and only lastly updated in 2011. So with this new learning that has taken place, there is a need to secure and protect our children in this, of course, in the virtual environment. A few high points are the DOE is getting very involved in providing their expertise. We'll be able to monitor the activity on the internet as well as those devices for our children. I want to thank the different groups such as the DOE, the Gale Association, GSSA, Pro Tem Jones, and Chairman Dubnik for their assistance and all of their help in crafting this bill. Mr. Speaker, with that, I'll yield for question.
You do yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Education Committee, Chairman Dubnik, to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Representative Irwin, is it not true that you stated that the federal government last addressed the law that protects our children for certain information in 2011?
That is correct.
So you're telling me that the federal government is 11 years behind on technology?
Yes, sir, I am. And I'm also want to state to the gentleman that it is important for us to protect Georgia children, not only to rely on Washington to protect Georgia children, but for Georgia to protect Georgia children.
Thank you very much. One final, if you will yield.
Yes, sir, I will.
Is it not true that this bill, that House Bill 1217, is an example of how this House and this state are leading to set an example for the country of how we protect our children?
Man knows what he speaks of. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. What purpose does Representative McLeod rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that this particular bill, although we are definitely looking to make sure that we protect our children, does not cover audio pornography?
I would encourage you to maybe find the author and get some clarification on that. What purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that this bill will implicate other parents who are dealing with the issue of virtual learning right now?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Representative. Now.
Thank you. Is it not true that this bill will implicate parents and educators who are at home schools with them right now, coming from public schools. And additionally, that this bill is not yet inclusive enough of how we protect our students. As an educator, I am concerned.
I'm sure if the lady so states, she believes that to be true. What purpose does Chairman Martin rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true, Mr. Speaker, that as the gentleman presented the bill, he said that it would filter websites and places that could be accessed by these computers, and by doing that filter, isn't it true, Mr. Speaker, that those websites that project audio that might be inappropriate will also be filtered out? Isn't that true?
I would think that to be true. All right, final parliamentary inquiry. What purpose does Representative Kennard rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that I contacted Gwinnett County Public Schools today, and they agree with the intent of this bill, but to operationalize it would be a cost of up to $4 million, and the results would be limited as it would not filter individuals bringing their own personal devices, therefore negating the opportunity.
The gentleman so states. I'm sure he believes that to be true. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 1217, the ayes are 131, the nays are 26. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1008.
House Bill 1008 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, and others to be titled an act to amend Article 11 of Chapter 3 of Title 20 and Chapter 9 of Title 30 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Higher Education Savings Plan in Georgia, Achieving a Better Life Experience. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hawkins to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2016, this legislature passed the ABLE legislation. This legislation allowed the disabled and families of the disabled to save in excess of $2,000 without losing their liability by establishing a 529 plan. This plan was, the cost of this plan was borne by the participants, and with that in mind, we combined our Georgia plan with other states in Ohio that had the mechanism for these plans to work. Well, this summer, the treasurer of this state, Steve McCoy, called me with an idea of moving the plan back to Georgia administration of the plan, folding the board of directors of ABLE into the higher education board, both being 529 plans, to make it much more efficient and also benefit the ABLE board. In Section 1 of the bill, you'll see that the Georgia Higher Education Board is expanded to include the commissioners of DCH and behavioral health and developmental disabilities, and also a person with disabilities or a member of a family thereof. Also, I've been asked about the governor being taken off as chairman. In years past, we have placed the governor as chairman of many of these boards. Well, in the last 20, 30 years, we've created a lot of boards, and it's become impractical for the governor to be the chairperson of the board. So this just cleans that language up. The chairperson will be elected by the board, and the treasurer will serve as vice chair. In Section 2, the board of directors of the ABLE program will be replaced by the board of the Higher Education Savings Program. And in Section 3, it folds those operations into the Higher Education Board and secures the previous assets. Some final points. It's important to note that the accounts of the Higher Education 529 plan and the ABLE 529 plan will remain separated. 17 other states have done this to combine their boards and have increased their operational efficiency. Right now, our higher education assets in the college, the path to college, sits at $4.6 billion. And presently, our ABLE account is a mere $12 million. So in conclusion, I would also like to tell you that our Commissioner, Judy Fitzgerald, advised our committee that the majority of the enrollees of the ABLE program have intellectual and behavioral disabilities. And as we all know, this legislature and this governor this year is focusing on improving mental outcomes and mental health in this state. So in conclusion, I would ask for your favorable consideration of HB 1008. Mr. Speaker, if there's no questions, I'll yield the will.
There are no questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 1008. The ayes are 159. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1088.
House Bill 1088 by Representative Gunner of the 8th to be entitled an act to amend Part 7 of Article 5 of Chapter 3 of Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to miscellaneous provisions regarding timeshare projects and programs so as to authorize non-judicial foreclosure of timeshare estates. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Gunter to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill applies only to timeshares in Georgia. It changes it from a judicial foreclosure to a non-judicial foreclosure. The reason being is that in a judicial foreclosure, it gets rather expensive hiring an attorney and then going through that process. The non-judicial foreclosure is very similar to the judicial. The owner gets the notice. It's run in the paper for 4 weeks. And it advertises where the foreclosure will take place. It also protects any liens that a bank or lending institution may have against a timeshare. And there's been no objection from the real estate lawyers to this bill. I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Do you yield for a question?
I do.
Chair recognizes Minority Leader Beverly to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman yield.
I yield.
I just have a quick question. What is the total turnaround time from the attaching of the lien to the proposed sale of the property? What is the total time that you take?
I don't know that there's any set time on that for a timeshare, but it's when it gets to a point where the fees have built up so much that's when they would foreclose on it. So it's an owners association decision as to whether to foreclose.
Do you further yield?
Yes.
Chair recognizes Representative Carter up in the gallery to your left for a question.
All right.
Good morning. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
My question is relating to the foreclosure, after the foreclosure. If there is a timeshare that is paid in full and it's being foreclosed because of the fees, do the profit from the sale go back to the owner of the property?
In that situation, I doubt there would be a foreclosure if it's all paid up. The initial purchase of a timeshare is not very expensive. It's the fees that build over time. So if they haven't paid the fees and it's at a point where they can declare a foreclosure, they would then do that, and it's the owners association's fees, so basically they eat the fees.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes?
Sometimes shares are not cheap. So the value of the property that had a lien on it is separate from the bill, from the fees. So if the property itself is paid in full and you're only paying the fees to maintain the timeshare,
correct,
will the profits from the sale of the timeshare go back to the owner after the fees are paid?
When the sale is announced, the fees that have accrued are really what they're recouping from the sale. So all of that would go to the owners association and not back to the owner of the timeshare. It would divest the owner of the timeshare from their ownership of the timeshare.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I yield the well at this time and ask for your favorable consideration.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Chair recognizes Representative Dreyer to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be brief, and I mentioned this to the representative that's sponsoring the bill. I don't have a specific objection to this process for timeshares, but I do want to let everybody know what happens in a non-judicial foreclosure, and it's specifically important when it comes to people's homes. When people are behind on their mortgage, there will be an advertisement run in the paper as required for a couple weeks. That will culminate in a sale. If you are down at the Fulton Courthouse on the first Tuesday of a month at 10 a.m., you will see a pack of people with cash or cash equivalents, literally cashier's checks or lines of credit, bidding on people's properties. A few years ago, there was a federal indictment of collusion of those individuals standing around, and the individual went to jail, said, I had no idea it was wrong that we were picking and choosing properties that we would bid on, because everyone does it and everyone's always done it. In other states, Florida, where they have a judicial foreclosure process for people's homes, you can look online and you can bid over a 30-day period or longer. So you actually get a true market value sale. You don't get fair market value on the courthouse steps. It is absolutely impossible. And when that is someone's home, if that was a family member's home who are losing their generational wealth, I think we would all treat it a little differently. And that's not pertaining to this bill today. Timeshares are a different process. There's a good argument for it to be streamlined, but when it comes to people's homes, I think we should be better as a state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1088. The ayes are 141, the nays are 18. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 896.
House Bill 896 by Representative Crowell, the 110th, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48540, the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating the definitions for property tax exemptions, so as to update the population bracket and census date on certain property tax exemptions. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Crowe to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to present House Bill 896. This is a very specific bill, and it's really an update to an existing code. All we're doing in this bill is updating the numbers to update the population bracket for the 2020 census from the 2010 census. What this does is it allows it identifies Butts County specifically, and allows property owners on Jackson Lake who are owners of leasehold properties, Georgia Power leasehold properties, to claim homestead exemption. This bill was first introduced at least prior to 1991 and has then been updated every 10 years since. I believe in 2012, the last time Chairman Knight was a co-sponsor on that along with my predecessor, and it passed the House unanimously. And with that, I would ask for your favorable consideration and yield for questions if there are any.
You do not have any questions?
I yield the will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 896. The ayes are 157. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representative Thomas, the 21st, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 2089 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to funding for state charter schools, so as to remove a provision that reduced the amount of certain funding provided to state charter schools. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Excuse me. I know you're anxious to get up there. I guess I would be too if I had that many pages to go over from the well. Representative, is all of that about this bill? All right. Chair recognizes Representative Brad Thomas to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I tried not to tip off everybody that this is my first bill, but we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. So, I'm very proud. It's funny, I got butterflies in my stomach. I think the last time that happened to me was when I met my wife. So, whew, all right. So I'm here to present LC HB 1215, LC number LC 490864S. It's a charter school bill. It refines the state charter school definition to the Department of Education, the way the Department of Education already utilizes, and it basically puts it in alignment with the federal charter school program to be eligible for grants. The second section of this bill prevents local school districts from prohibiting students from transferring to charter schools during the school year. This creates parity between the public school system and the public charter school system. The third section of this bill, it honors the spirit of the funding for locally approved charter schools, and it does this by creating the true-up provision that's done semi-annually, which is something that's already done in the public school system, so it will create the same way in the public charter school system. Sections 4 and 5 were requests by the State Auditor's Office, and specifically requests the change noting that existing requirements outlined in code sections 20-2-2076 and 20-2-2093 are redundant and time-consuming and costly for the Department of Audits. So additionally, all this information is already publicly available. So it's supported by the State Charter Schools Commission and the Auditor's Office. So we picked that up as well. And that's kind of the meat and potatoes of the bill. I'd be happy to yield for questions at this point. I'm sure your board is lighting up like a Christmas tree.
A very large Christmas tree.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Estration to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Sir, did I hear you correct that you just equated a change to Title 20 with the same feeling you had when you met your wife?
I have to tell you, charter schools are very important to me, but not as important as my wife.
Sir, are you concerned at all that she may be watching this proceeding right now?
Oh, I know she is. That's why I called her out the first time I went in the well.
Did you
okay,
get to go home tonight and tell her you violated the rules of the House by not being recognized where you got in the well?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I will make sure I'll let her know that she was on my mind as I approach the well
You have some more
appropriately.
questions if you yield.
I do.
Chair recognizes Representative Walensky to your left for a question.
Thank you. Do the gentleman yield?
I do.
On line 49, it refers to section 20-2-2072. Do you think it should be specific and refer to section 20-2-2072A or B?
I like both.
Do you yield for another question?
No. At that, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to go ahead and yield the well.
You know, Representative, you just left the majority leader dangling in the breeze. No, you've yielded the well.
In that case, I'll come back to the well and unyield.
You need to go talk to him, though. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Walensky rise?
Parliamentary inquiry. Speaker, is it not true?
Whoa. Is this inquiry anything near the question you asked the author?
It's a mere explanation. There is no A and B, sir.
What purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Parliamentary.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that as an educator in this body, I think that we've taken a tone to this legislation that it's been a joke whether or not funding for our public schools stays with those students and actually helps them? And I wish and I'm very concerned at the way that we debated this today.
I'm sure the lady believes that to be true. What purpose does Representative Singleton rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that in honor of his first bill, I just wanted to let him know that I really do support this legislation. I'm really glad that Brad's bringing it, so I just want to make that part of the record.
Okay. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 1215. The ayes are 113. The nays are 45. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1186.
House Bill 1186 by Representative Houston of the 170th be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 44, Title go to Georgia Annotated relating to state language, pathology, and audiology licenses who are not licensed audiologists to use emissions or auditory brainstem response technology as part of a screening process. This bill having referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Houston to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1186 changes the age that a professional who is not a licensed audiologist can perform a non-diagnostic hearing screen on a person up to age 22. This bill was proposed by the Georgia Educational Audiology Advisory Committee, and I have letters of support from the Department of Public Health and from the Georgia Academy of Audiologists. As many of you know, the way we in the past 30 years, it's changed the way we screen people for hearing, and I have a passion that all children who have hearing disabilities are screened so we can learn to read earlier. You know, all of y'all know the problems. I appreciate you voting yes on this bill.
You have no questions?
Thank you. You're well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1186. The ayes are 156, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1059.
House Bill 1059 by Representative Gamble, the 15th, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33, the Fiscal Code of Georgia Annotated relating to insurance generally, so solutions to unfair trade practices, lawful inducements. This bill recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Gamble to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, House Bill 1059 will allow insurers and agents to offer loss mitigation products in the sale of insurance. Currently, if an insurer or agent provides products, it's considered to be an illegal rebate or inducement, which is prohibited under the law. This would allow those items to be sold or used with the sale of insurance. These are items like smoke detectors, water leak sensors. It's still regulated under the Department of Insurance, and this language comes from National Association of Insurance Commissioners model law. With that, Mr. Speaker, that's pretty much the extent of the legislation. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Do you yield for a question?
I will yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you yield?
I yield.
Can you speak a little bit more to the conversation about what these actual inducements are, what kind of items these are that we're talking about?
Yes. So the whole idea here is that if we're able to offer these types of loss mitigation technologies to potential customers and clients, that it will deploy these technologies in their homes, which of course would lower the loss potential, whether it be a fire or a water leak or those types of things. So think water leak detectors and smoke detectors, things like that. That's what these technologies are, and it really benefits all of us because it helps us to minimize, the loss that we might incur otherwise. So I appreciate the question. With that, Mr. Speaker, if there's no other questions.
You do have one other if you care to yield.
I will yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Rick Williams, to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Okay, if my insurance company offers me one of those green little lizards, do I have to accept it?
Well, that is not a loss mitigation object, so that's not what we're allowing under this, but,
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 1059. The ayes are 157. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1276.
House Bill 1276 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th to be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 and Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Department of Community Health, so as to require that statistical reports containing data relating to state health plans be posted on the department website. This bill having referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hawkins to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, for years we've been asking the wrong question, that is, can we see the contracts? The right question would have been, can we see the data? That's what this bill does. 1276 is going to require the insurers to provide the data on Medicaid, state health benefit, and peach care on the DCH website in a prominent place. You know, we all want good health care for Georgians, but to find that good health care, we need to have good solutions in the ever-changing landscape of health care. This data that we're going to require is going to include a number of things, like contains the numbers and types of providers on a county level data based on 1,000 people. Data on hospital utilization and cost of and net payment, among other things. Enrollment data, reporting on common diseases, data on prescription drugs, the most frequent release of prescribed drugs, including volume and cost of generic and brand name utilization, plus cost of net rebates. Also will be included is financial results by category and plan group based on including the per member, per cost month figures, and finally figures on long-term care. You'll see at the end of the bill with lines 42 through 46, this relates to the protection of contractual language that will stay in place. If there are no questions, I would ask for your favorable consideration, and we'll yield the well.
You do not have any questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1276. The ayes are 151. The nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1320.
House Bill 1320 by Representative Knight of the 130th to be titled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to revenue and taxation, so as revised the terms Internal Revenue Code and Internal Revenue Code of 1986. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman David Knight to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My friend Chairman England, no, we are not talking about the usufruct. We are talking about the Internal Revenue Code Conformity Bill. This is an annual bill. This is the shortest one that I've done since I've been doing this for really almost since I got up here in '04. Basically, no cost to this over the number of years as we spread out through the worksheet. We heard that in testimony. Highlights the provision, or some of them dealing with the federal disaster changes. So we're codifying that in Georgia code. There were some items in regarding to tax-exempt bond financing and making sure that they could average out the investment rate on some of the single employer defined benefit plans. With that, Mr. Speaker, it really is the shortest IRC update bill that I've ever done, and Chairman England said get out of the well real quick with that. So I'll take any questions.
No questions.
If it is, please ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1320. The ayes are 157, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes Representative Gullett for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we insist on the House position of HB 334 and appoint to.
Representative Gullett has moved that insist on its position, agreeing to the Senate substitute to House Bill 334, and that a committee of conference be appointed. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 334 to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 and Title 15 and Article 1 of Chapter 17 and Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to clerks of superior courts and general provisions regarding notaries public.
Chair recognizes, is there any objection to the gentleman's motion? Is there any objection? Hearing none, the House has insisted on its position. The chair appoints as a committee of conference Chairman Gunter of the 9th District, Chairman Efstration of the 104th District, and Representative Gullett of the 19th District. What purpose does Chairman Burchett rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I motion we recommit House Bill 1321 to the judiciary.
Chairman Burchett has moved that House Bill 1321 be recommitted to the Judiciary Committee. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1321 by Representative Burchett of the 176 to be titled an act to amend Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to commerce so as to provide for a litigation bar on governmental entities regarding certain statewide opioid litigation.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 1321 be recommitted to the Judiciary Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Representative Nulowitz rise?
Yes, sir, thank you. I would like to make a motion to recommit House Bill 1389 and House Bill 1390 from Industry and Labor to the Judiciary Committee with the consent of both chairmen.
Representative Nulowitz has moved that House Bills 1389 and 1390 be moved from the Industry and Labor Committee to the Judiciary Committee. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1389 to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sex discrimination in employment. House Bill 1390 to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sex discrimination in employment.
On the lady's motion, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none. And those two bills are now back in are going to judiciary. What purpose does Representative Vance Smith rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion.
State your motion.
I'd like to ask that House Bill 1372 be moved from Transportation Committee to the Energy, Utilities, and Telecom Committee, and both chairmen agree.
Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1372 to be entitled an act to amend Title 25 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to fire protection and safety so as to revise the provisions in short title of Chapter 9.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 1372 be removed from the Transportation Committee and committed to the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Chairman Cooper rise?
I waive.
She waives. All right, House Bill 389 is postponed until the next legislative day. House Bill 961 is postponed until the next legislative day. The clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Honoring the life and memory of Valerie Boyd. Recognizing and commending Mindy Surratt, Carterville City Schools 2021-2022 star teacher. Congratulating and commending Southern Cove. Recognizing and commending Tim Abbott. Congratulating and commending Chair Dow. Recognizing and commending Diane Morgan, recipient of this year's local Dr. Martin Luther King Major Drum Major Award. Commending Carrie Hammond, Emerson Elementary Schools 2021-2022 star teacher. Commending Caden Wolf, Woodland High Schools 2021-2022 star student. Recognizing and commending Carolyn Morrison, the Carterville City School 2021-2022 star student. Congratulating and commending Teresa Smith for receiving the 2022 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Servant Leader Award. Recognizing the week of May 1st, 2022. Recognizing and commending Chief Justice David E. Namias. Recognizing and commending Mr. Roy Poole Sr. Commending Dr. Tara W. Askew. Commending Parks Stamper. Commending Delta Sigma Theta sorority for its 109 years of service. Commending the Georgia chapter of the Alzheimer Association. Commending Georgia Railroaders and recognizing March 1st, 2022 as Georgia Railroaders Day, recognizing February 28th as Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc. Day at the State Capitol, and for other purposes that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. All right, let's have a little bit less background noise here because we're going on to announcements. Going on to announcements, Chair recognizes Representative McLean for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Working Parliamentary Caucus will be meeting today. You can pick up your lunches in room 307, and do look forward to hearing you. I think Secretary of State Marty Walsh will be making some type of saying something. So look forward to hearing you all, seeing you all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dickey for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Agricultural Consumer Affairs will have their meeting this afternoon at 2 o'clock, 406. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Burnow for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chairman LaHood and I are the co-chairs for Alzheimer's Awareness Day, and that'll be on Monday, and we'd like for you to wear purple in honor of the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Noel Williams for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Upon adjournment, Banks and Banking is having a luncheon in the Senate mezzanine immediately upon adjournment. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Setzler for an announcement.
The Setzler Subcommittee of Judiciary Non-Civil will be meeting today at 1 o'clock in room 132. 1 o'clock in room 132. We have one bill. 1 o'clock, room 132.
All right, we have local bills. We have another bills today. The chair is going to ask for unanimous consent that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended to allow these bills to be read for the first time and assigned to committee. They will all be assigned to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. Is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Okay, we're going on now to birthdays. You're not included, Representative Kendrick. Several members having birthdays on Sunday, February 20. Begin. Representative Buddy DeLoach is celebrating a birthday. Representative Vance Smith is celebrating a birthday. Representative Matthew Gamble is celebrating a birthday. And Representative Beth Moore is turning 40 on Sunday. Happy birthday to all of you. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I barely remember when I was 40. Barely. I think I was there at one time. But Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday, February the 28th, 2022.
Majority Leader has moved that this House be adjourned until Monday, February 28th at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes clearly have it. This House will be adjourned until Monday, February 28th at 10 a.m.